Hello everybody and welcome. My name is Pete Renzulli, Chief Marketing Officer of T3 Live, and I'm very excited today to be introducing you to a preview video of the topics, strategies, and tactics that we're going to be covering at the Active Trader Super Conference coming up here in New York City on October 6th and 7th, which is a Saturday and a Sunday, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. In addition to the Super Conference that day and all the training that we're going to do, we're also hosting a VIP cocktail reception from 4 o'clock to 5:30 on Saturday. So the first day you want to make sure that you're in attendance also for the cocktail reception. Now, one of the biggest questions that we're getting as we are introducing people or inviting people to the event is, what is the difference between learning something and coming to a live event and making the time to come there on a weekend versus just being home and watching a video, watching a webinar, being in the virtual trading floor and that kind of thing. And the only way I could describe it is that there's certain things that you cannot experience unless you're actually there. And I guess the best way to describe it is, put yourself in the seats at a professional sporting event. There's a big difference sitting home watching the event from being at the event. There's little nuances that you pick up that you don't see on the screen. And quite frankly, if you're in the virtual trading floor right now, there's a lot more detail of stuff that we're going to cover live at the event when we're unrushed with having to talk about the tactics, strategies, and mindset while we're actually trading ourselves and trying to manage our own positions. So you get into a lot more depth, and the main benefit is being able to ask those questions live at the event and getting in-depth answers that are specific to your questions and interacting, whether it's at the actual event itself or at the cocktail reception, which is going to be, as we said, about 90 minutes. So again, there's learning in a book, there's actually trading, and then the next step is actually getting involved with mentors who are a little bit further down the trader path from you, which I'm going to discuss in a minute. So I guess first, before I get into the 5 keys here, I want to touch on the speakers, which is actually the most important part of coming to the event, is who's going to be there, why should I attend, and what solutions can they help me with my biggest trading problems. That's what you should be thinking right now. If I'm going to spend the time there to come there and attend the event, what solution or answer to a trading frustration, dissatisfaction, or problem can you help me with? Or, if you're trading well, how can I learn to take my trading to a bigger level by attending the event? So there's really one of two types of traders. You're not finding consistency and you want some answers from traders that are doing it already, and then you're doing it okay, but you're not understanding how to take your trading to the next level. So I'm going to run down briefly the speakers there who are going to speak, but here's the biggest thing that I want to make sure that you have in mind for the entire point of what we're going to talk about. At the event, each presentation, which we have scheduled at this point, I think 10 hours of instruction over the 2 days, not including, obviously, we take a break for lunch and that kind of thing. 10 hours of instruction, all geared towards the 5 keys. Every one of the presentation is going to be something that you can take out of, use the 5 keys, and apply immediately in the market on Monday. So I'm going to run down the speakers very quickly here. First, we have Mark Sperling. A lot of you guys know Mark. Mark is probably, in my opinion, again, I've been trading for a while, probably one of the purest traders that there is. And I hesitated there a little bit because I'm going to talk about Sean in a second, Sean Hendelman, who runs algorithmic high-frequency trading programs. Mark is probably one of the purest dig in, get involved, and just do it by hand type of things. And just to give an example of how advanced Mark is and what he could teach you at the event, after 12 years of trading, I actually sat down with Mark for the first time 2 years ago, and he was trading so fast I couldn't even keep up with what he was doing. But the single biggest thing you're going to end up learning from Mark is where you live. What strategy on top of what trading environment is the best for you. You will find, out of all the traders that you see and you watch on television and all that kind of thing, they're all over the place. You know, they're telling you and giving you this impression that you need to be involved in options and forex and stocks and every typical market condition. Learn how to trade this one long, learn how to trade this one short, learn how to trade a sideways market. You will find from Mark in his keynote speech that he's going to give is he's going to implore you to pick the environment and, as he words it, know where you live. And I'll take that a little bit further. I'll use a little joke that Mark will use during his presentation. It says he likes to be long. He feels institutions are generally long, and that's the side of the market he likes to trade from, and that is the filter through which he's looking through the market. He knows exactly where he lives. Where do I find a spot? Where do I bid a level? Where do I bid a pattern to be long? So he's going to speak to you about really nailing down, before you leave on Saturday, nail down in very clear terms what is the environment that you live in. After Mark is done with that, he's going to come back on Sunday and kick us off Sunday morning with an actual game plan meeting presentation on the floor. So essentially what he's going to do is every day, for those of you who are not in the virtual trading floor, Mark is going to host the very same meeting he holds on the floor of T3 Trading Group every single morning to the market opening, go over what he's looking at, asking you what you're looking at, and then giving an assessment of whether it's a good idea, why it not be a good idea. I'll give you a perfect example. A lot of stocks that we're looking at right now, obviously in bullish moves right now, pushing to the upside. We're going to talk you into, okay, it's a good long. Is it a good long now? What's the risk? What's the potential reward? And we're going to do probably 45 minutes of that going back and forth to actually set up ideas for the coming Monday. Now, obviously, we're not telling you to take those ideas. We're not going to tell you exactly what to trade. We're going to give you the experience of being on the floor here in New York City and exactly what Mark goes over with our traders on right here on the floor in New York. Next, we're going to have, obviously, Scott Redler. Scott Redler is by far one of the most disciplined tactical traders that I've ever met, and I'm sure all of you know, whether you follow him on Twitter or you actually have the opportunity to listen to him in the virtual trading floor as well. Scott is going to walk through relative strength, relative weakness, his favorite technical setups, but more importantly, again, everything is geared towards you being able to take this out of the market and out of the presentations and into the market the following week. This is the big thing. You must be taking out of the market and participating exactly what we show you. I'm going to pre-talk you into how to get the most out of the presentation. Number one is participate. I'm very, very big on that, especially in the private mentoring that I do. If you're sitting in the background and waiting for somebody else to ask the question that you want to ask, you're not going to get the most out of the weekend. You must ask questions. So I'm going to actually implore you now, when we go over the 5 keys in a little bit more detail, write down your top 3 questions for the top 5, what we feel are the keys to success, the keys to trading success, so that while you're there, you're guaranteed to get answers to those 15 questions you should be coming with. So if you have a minimum of 3 for each one, you're going to be going to the event saying, if I get these 15 questions answered, I'll be more than excited to be leaving that event saying it was well worth the 2 days that I spent there. Okay, so Scott's going to go over relative strength, relative weakness, his favorite chart patterns, and game planning. Everybody knows that Scott puts together his price point sheet. We're going to get a little bit into where he comes up with the significant levels for, a lot more detail than we see in the recap, because obviously he's constrained by the time frame that we have to put the recap together. So it's going to be, again, why come to the event? We're going to get into a lot more detail, and you're going to be able to have interaction. Next, we're going to have Sean Hendelman. I'm sure a lot of you have seen Sean do the intro to our 30-day free course. If you haven't signed up for that, please go to the website. Make sure you do. You see a little button on the front page. Sean runs algorithms and does high-frequency trading, okay? The exciting part, and I had to talk him into doing this, I'm very, very excited he's going to be joining us. Sean is going to discuss strategy development, which you can actually see here as key number 2. He's going to walk through what goes into setting a strategy for his black boxes to actually execute the trades on the market, and then he's going to go through step by step of what criteria you might be putting into your personal trading plan based on your risk tolerance, based on your capital available, based on your experience, based on how much time you have to sit in front of the screen, based on what you actually use on your screen. And then he'll walk you through how to actually come up with a strategy that makes sense. So it'll be a simple strategy. Obviously, there's going to be up to 200 people in the room that day, but he's going to walk you through it. So again, if you're prepared with your questions, I'm giving you a heads up of what Sean's going to talk about. Next, I'm going to actually be speaking. My name is Pete Renzulli. Obviously, I'm going to be covering 2 very important things. At the end of this video, I'm going to be covering mapping out your trader path and what milestones you're going to be reaching to know you should be moving to the next one. And last but not least, on Sunday afternoon, I'm going to be discussing trading to win. I'm going to be discussing peak performance. I'm going to give you a perfect example of what I'm going to discuss so you can say, that's something I'm missing. I understand what I'm looking at, but I'm not achieving what I can. And this is a conversation I literally just had today in the elevator going down to get my lunch today. One group of traders is here. I spoke to the group leader, and he was talking about his traders getting into a trade, the trade not working out, and they only have one share size all the time no matter what. That's the standard share size they trade. Doesn't matter the stock, doesn't matter the volatility. That's the standard share size. So we started having this conversation back and forth, and it's getting into trading to win and keeping yourself in the game until your idea plays itself out. So I had mentioned to him there's many times during the day where I am placing trades. I'll put on a trade for 1,000 shares, and if it's not working out quickly, I'll take the shares off, and it starts to work out again, I'll put it back on, and I might have to do that 2, sometimes even 3 times where I take these small losses, have maybe a tier 1, what Mark calls a feeler on the position, until the trade starts to work out. If it does, I hammer it because now it's doing what I anticipated because of the probabilities. Or if it doesn't, I keep taking these small losses, maybe 2 or 3 times, depending on the overall environment. It's something different to recognize if the whole situation has changed. But again, if it's been in your game plan from the morning, you came into the day and say, I like the idea, you have to learn to make that distinction to trade to win, to say, has the idea changed or has it just not played itself out yet? So I'm going to have a really good detailed discussion on that. And one other thing, we're going to talk about, everybody knows a bull flag. We have one bull flag that looks perfect. You have another one that looks perfect. One does exactly what you thought it was going to do. The other one collapses, does nothing you thought it was going to do. You must learn to get to the point where you take every trade and you learn never to hesitate. And I'm going to give you 3 big keys of how to never hesitate during your trades. Okay? Last but not least, actually, let me get my card here. We have Mike Lee. Mike Lee, as many of you know, Mike and Steve LeVay run our momentum trading room. They wrote the course, and they are very, very passionate traders. Now, some of the biggest things that you're going to get out of Mike and Steve, Mike is actually going to talk about his top 10 trading rules. But again, getting back into why that matters to you, he's going to discuss why they became his rules and why and how they are saving money or making money for him right now. And then he's going to walk you through a little 3 to 5 step presentation of how to recognize key observations during the day in your own personal trading, and then how stuff that happens during the day, we say, wow, that was unusual. That's where you're going to start to write your own rules. So Mike has a whole presentation, how his rules became his rules, and then how you can help to develop yourself so you have the discipline to implement those rules. Steve LeVay, who runs the room with Mike, the momentum trading room, is going to talk about goal setting. Again, getting into peak performance. How do you set goals as a trader? So many traders come into the day where they're saying, all I'm going to do is let the market unfold, see what happens, and I'm going to strive to see whatever I can make that day. Wrong. Steve is going to do a half-hour, 45-minute presentation on setting goals, recognizing market conditions, recognizing when you should be big, when you should pull back, and how to trade towards your goals as opposed to just looking to see what unfolds during the day. Plus, we have a few guest speakers we haven't mentioned yet. So, getting into it right now, we're going to get into the 5 keys. So we have 9 to 5, Saturday and Sunday, New York City, Marriott Marquis, cocktail reception on Saturday, the first day, from 4 o'clock to 5:30, 90 minutes. Really hope you can attend that in addition to coming to the event. And then we're going to discuss every one of the presentations that are the 5 keys. So I'm just going to get into them a little bit of detail here, and then I'm going to talk about the first one in a lot more detail. Mapping out your trader path, that's essentially this. Where are you starting and where is your ultimate goal? And how do you know you're moving along the trader path? Now, I'm going to give you the biggest example of this that in my career as a trading mentor. I've been trading trading commodities since 1994. Stopped that in 2000 when I started trading stocks full-time. Got my Series 24 in 2000, and I managed trading floors, and I've seen it all. Anything that you could possibly imagine, I've seen from both the prop trading end and from my own end. The most difficult trader to speak to and help is a trader who has been in the business, let's say 18 months to 2 years, but is not making a dime. That trader is the most difficult trader along the trader path, and I'm going to get this into a little bit more because he doesn't have a clear distinction of how do I measure my progress and where do I get to. Number 2, we have strategies and game plans. Very distinct difference here. Trading plan is the complete plan of everything that's going into it, which includes money management and everything else. And then we have strategy. I have news for you. You are going to walk away. We will do our best job for you to walk away to understand the difference between trading plans and strategy. And you only need one strategy you believe in wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedly. One strategy, that's it. Stop paying attention to everything and really do something well. And again, getting back to the trader path, you'll understand when you can add more size, more strategies, and take it further down the road. Next, we have game plans and tactics. Do you have a game plan for when buying breakouts is high probability versus you should wait for it to push through there? Do you have a game plan for when you should be shorting the lows versus buying the lows? All of that should be done pre-market. Something I'm going to discuss a little bit in one of my 2 presentations is if you are looking for ideas after the market opens, you're not prepared and you shouldn't be allocating capital. That's how powerful it is to have game plans and to understand how to apply those tactics to your game plans based on the market conditions. Next, trade management and money management. Something as simple as the story I just told about trading around until the trade starts to work out. Then the opposite side of that. Do you adjust your share size based on the volatility of the stock. I'll give you a perfect example. The average true range of most stocks, even though the market's going higher consistently over the last few months, believe it or not, my list of stocks that have an average true range of $1.50 with an average 2 million shares a day has been cut in half over the last 45 days, even though the market's going higher. So you have to adjust your plan and set money management and trade management parameters based on the volatility of the stocks you're trading as well as the liquidity. We're also going to discuss balancing the act between risk management, how liquid a stock is and how easy you can get out of a stock if it moves against you, and volatility, the amount a stock could move. That's a fine line that you have to balance there to understand which stocks you personally should be trading. Last but not least, trading for peak performance. Let's face it, it doesn't take long to figure out and understand what to look at. So we're going to assume that most of you coming to the event, all 200 of you, have a pretty good idea of at least knowing what you're looking at. Getting to the next stage, and I'm going to describe this in two very simple things to wrap this up here. New traders are mostly concerned with not losing money, as they should. You should be in the business learning how to not lose money, be around long enough so you have some experience to get to the next level to understand what's the next step, learning how to make money. So you have to be involved long enough with enough screen time to say, okay, I'm starting to see more things and interacting with the market. Now let me look at how to turn the corner. And again, where are you in the trader path to determine now I should trade a little bigger, now I should add a second stock, now I should add a second strategy, all of that kind of thing. So we're really going to get into these in a lot more detail that you can't just get in the manual, you can't just get in the video, and you can't just get in the virtual trading floor. It is going to be a very, very exciting event. 2 action-packed days. Come see us in beautiful New York City. If you're out of town, mark those dates down, order your tickets now so you get them early, and make sure you get in on the VIP reception. We're limiting the VIPs to only 50 people as of right now. If we start to get a flood of people, I'm sure we'll expand it, but we have one particular beautiful area overlooking Times Square for that, so I hope you can make that too. So again, Saturday and Sunday, October 6th and 7th. This is video number 1. We're going to get into these each in a little bit more detail in following videos. Have a great day. I look forward to seeing you in October.